7:14, and we've been talking a lot this morning about the student facing charges in the death of a classmate. Terrible, terrible situation here.
Right. Andy Rodriguez will be tried as an adult in Juan Ramirez's death. What we don't know right now is whether he'll face first or second-degree murder charges. Defense attorney Philip Mendito is here to take a closer look at the case. Welcome to the show. Good to see you again.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning, man.
Okay, so let's start with what we just said, that he's going to be tried as an adult, even though he's 17 years of age. What goes into that decision, whether to be tried as a juvenile or an adult?
The prosecutor looks at the age of the child. With this child being 17, that's the age still comes in, but not as closely as it would to a 15 or 16-year-old. They really look at the crime itself. If they have a strong case against the child, they're most likely going to file as an adult. If they don't have such a strong case, then they might file as a juvenile case.
Okay, so Philip, we have a copy of the arrest report, and 17-year-old Andy Rodriguez, the suspect, it says on the report he admitted his involvement in this incident. So is this admitted his involvement? Is that a confession? And will he have to do it again at a later time for this to be on the record?
Well, the confession comes in court. The police are going to take the stand and say that this boy said X, Y, and Z, said I had a knife that day and I used it against the victim in the case. He doesn't have to take the stand at all for that statement to come in. If he were to take the stand and try and say that I never said all this stuff to the police, they're going to use any statement he said that day to impeach him. If it was sworn, if it was under oath, or if it was taped, they're going to use that to impeach him the day in court.
We also mentioned earlier that the question right now is whether or not he'll be tried with a second degree or first degree. And according to the police report, he has admitted that he got into a fight the previous day with the victim, and because of that fight, he packed a knife the morning of the second altercation. So he brought a knife to school, according to the police report, specifically to attack the victim. Now, that sounds like that might be premeditated. Does that factor in whether it's second degree or first degree?
Well, the prosecutors right now are making that decision. They're determining if it's first-degree murder, they need to impanel a grand jury to make that decision. If it's not first-degree murder, if it's second-degree murder, they don't need it. They can file it by information. So it sounds like premeditation, right? He's bringing a knife to school that day. But it also could be a defense of self-defense. If this guy's going to say that this victim threatened me the day before, I felt like I may be hurt or killed, that's why I brought the switchblade, that can go to self-defense. At the same time, the 5 stabbings, the 5 wounds that he gave to the victim, that more looks like premeditation. So again, it's one way, it's one hand, and then again, it can use the same evidence the opposite way.
Right. Well, Philip, this horrific crime, it happened in a public place, in a school with kids around. So, like, since there's several witnesses, when it comes to putting them on the stand, will we see kid after kid, student after student up there on the witness stand? Look,
Kristen, this is one of the worst crimes you want to have, you know, as a prosecutor and as a defense attorney. The prosecutor doesn't want any sympathy going to this defendant in this case. So the prosecutor is going to bring every single witness that they possibly can to show how horrific this crime was, how terrible it was, and to look for that conviction. If they don't bring these individuals, the jury could find sympathy for that defendant. So in my opinion, they're going to bring every single person that saw this, any way, shape, or form, into that court of law.
Just a sad turn of events, really, all the way around.
And a long road ahead. Thank you, Philip, for conversing with us about this morning.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and we, of course, will bring you the latest updates on this case at the top of the hour. Until then, you can learn more about Philip Mendito on florida.com. It's under a section called Stories We Talked About Today.
All right, Sharp Dress John, what's going on?